Greetings and thank you for joining us today. My name is Megan and today we will be doing the Macrame Keychain program. By now you should have picked up your kit, which should have several pieces of wax cord, a couple of keychain rings, some beads, some yarn, and some embroidery floss. You will need to have scissors and tape on hand at home to do this program, so take a moment and go get those. To start us off, we are going to do our square knot keychain. So for that one, you will need one bead. You should have at least a wooden bead, one keychain ring, and the two 36-inch long pieces of waxed cord. Go ahead and grab those and then we will get started. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So starting off, you're going to take one of the 36-inch long pieces of cord and fold it in half. You're going to take your keychain ring and you're going to do what's called a Larks Head knot, or also known as the cow hitch. So you're going to pull through the keychain, pull down, open up, and then pull those other two lines through. And you want to make sure the outer string is longer than the inner ring. Go ahead and do that. You should end up with something that looks like this. Okay, so go ahead and do that with the other one as well. All right, once you have those two set up, you will begin the knot process. We're going to be doing what's called a square knot. I'm actually going to tilt my screen down so you can see what I'm doing, and so you can follow along. So here we go. So I have my two pieces of cord here, and if I pull this all the way, you'll see my two center pieces are shorter than my outer pieces. And this will make sense as we start to do the knotting process. This is where you're going to want to have that tape come in. This is just a way to make it a little easier to hold this in place. I'm actually going to tilt mine this way, so it's off and towards me. And we're going to tape that down here. Nice, and I'm going to do two pieces of tape actually, just to make that nice and tight. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and separate these out. You want your two left and right pieces spread out, and then you want these two here in the center to stay in the center. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our string and we're going to pull it over to the right. This is our left piece. We're going to pull it over to the right. Oops. And we're going to pull it under that right string, okay? So you should have essentially a 4 shape going over the two middle pieces with the tail coming under the right piece. Now for the right piece, we're gonna go under those two middle pieces and we're gonna pull through that starter so that way it crosses over your left piece. So you have what forms is this nice little circle kind of in here with the two center pieces in the center that will be nice and kept tight. So we're going to pull and pull and pull and pull. And we're going to try and keep this as smooth as possible here in the center. And then we're going to repeat that step once more. So we're going to go ahead and go to the left this time. Again, pulling this over the two, but under here. So that way it's under this left strand. And then we're going to take our left strand, pull under the two and through the right strand. And then again, we have that nice hole that's formed. And we're going to pull tight. And once we have that nice and tight, you're going to start to see your squares beginning to form. So let's go ahead and do that for a few moments before I talk about another trick that you can do here in a few minutes, okay? And remember, as you go, you're going to want to be alternating the which side of you are starting on. So if you started on the left, then you alternate left, right, left, right. If you started on the right, then you alternate right, left, right, left. Okay. All right. I'll see you in a few minutes to show that other trick that I mentioned. All right, welcome back. You'll probably have noticed that mine has started to turn a little. This is because one way that you can get a nice twisted knot is to just do the one side on repeat. So I'm just going to do the left, being the top one on the as my starting point, and without the alternation. So if you want a nice smooth straight line, or straight keychain, you're going to want to do that alternating that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. But if you want to start having a nice curve, you're just going to choose one side and stick to it. So I'm just doing my left over and over and over again. And what will end up happening is you will have, that one got a little away from me. That's okay, it's gonna happen. I think I messed up that knot. But you will eventually have a nice curve going on. So just remember, and as you go, you might want to just tape it down just to keep it straight. As you work, sometimes that can be helpful for seeing where your knots are. Like I need to turn mine just a little bit more. There we go. All right, so that is the trick there. And it gives you that really cool curve effect. And I will go ahead and do mine for a few more moments before I untape it and show it off. And then I will show you the bead step. So I'll join you. I will be joined. You guys will join me again here in just a moment. Welcome back. So I have that nice curve going on now that you can see. It gives it that really cool effect. Next, we're going to add our bead. And the good news is this is super simple. You're going to take the bead. You're going to insert it through the 2 center strings. There we go. And we're going to have it sit there for just a moment. And again, just for simplicity and so I can see where I'm at, I'm going to tape my keychain down just for ease of showing this next step. You don't have to do this, but it does help. Since I am trying to keep all my knots starting on the left, and I might have to, where are you? There we go. So I'm trying to keep all my keychains starting on the left so I can keep having that nice turn. Just make sure that you remember which one is your left. As you can see, I had to just adjust real quick just to see. But we'll go ahead and continue our normal knotting. And we're just going to knot, as I said, beginning over and through, making that nice hole. I'm going to tie pretty tight, snug here. Go ahead and just do that. And then just continue with your knotting process. As you go, it will continue to secure our friend there in the keychain. Let's go ahead and do a few more rows of knotting, a few more turns if you're doing the turn. Or if you decided that you want to just have a straight keychain, just keep doing your back and forth. I'll be with you in just a moment to show how to finish off this keychain. All right. Welcome back. Okay, so our last step here is to finish off this keychain. So we're actually just going to take all 4 of our cords there and just do a very basic knot here. Here we go. Pull them through, pull them through. And I actually like to do 2 knots just to give it that added security, that added strength at the bottom. But you don't have to. It also just kind of gives it its own unique look. So if you want to add your own types of knots, please go ahead and do so. Here we go. Looks like there's one. There it is. We got our 2 knots there, nice and tight. And the last step is to just cut off all that excess, however short you want it. I don't recommend at the exact base. I do recommend leaving a bit of a tassel just to give it that nice finished look, but also to secure it and keep the knot from getting too loose. So I'm going to actually go about 1 inch below the knot. Sound effects, of course, do help with your final product. So let's go ahead and reveal what we've made. There we go. And so I have, as you can see, a couple of those turns going on here at the top. And I also started a turn at the bottom, but by the end I decided I just want a nice straight end. And I did miss a knot right here, but that's okay. It still looks cool. It's still a keychain. And you've now learned a very basic macrame knot and how to make a turned one. So this is our first keychain we're going to make today. I'll be back in a few moments with the instructions on how to make the tasseled keychain. So go ahead and get those materials ready, and I'll see you in a few moments. Welcome back. We are ready for our next keychain. Now we will be moving on to our tassel keychain. So if you're following along with me, that'll be the instructions that look like this. And to start us off, we are going to need to make a Larks Head knot again, just like we did with our first keychain. Go ahead and take a moment to make your Larks Head knot, also called a cow's hitch, on your keychain, and I'll be with you in just a moment. All right, you should have something that looks like this, and you're gonna want to have it as even as possible, but it's not a huge deal if it's not even. The next part is the fun part. You get to take as many of those beads as you want and spread them through. So remember, you have 2 strings to go through. And unlike with our first keychain, you do not need to put a knot between each bead unless you really want to. So just go ahead and thread as many beads as you want. You should have a pretty wide selection of different shapes, different colors, and hopefully different sizes. By the time we got done sending ours through, the pickings were a bit slim, so I just kind of did my best with what I had left. So I'm going to just take a moment and thread a few more beads through, and then I'll be right back with you. All right, welcome back. You should have finished putting beads on your keychain. You can put as many as you want. I did a pretty wide selection just to kind of showcase some of the beads you may have received. We have the guy with the curves on it, and then some generic beads, just some weird flat ones. I found some donut-shaped ones that I thought would be a cool texture. So, and some of you should have gotten some of those too. So once you have that ready, the next step I'm going to be doing is tying a knot at the base, just so that way we can secure our beads. And you're just going to take both of these, and you can either do 2 and pull through in a basic knot, or you can take them opposite and tie like so, which is how I'm going to do it, just because I found that that helps with the tassel a little bit better, but the other one is a little more secure, so you can just kind of pick which one you want to do. Or if you have a different knot you want to do, you can do that too. So we have that nice and tight. I'm going to set that down, because the next step is to grab our yarn. I'm grabbing embroidery floss because it was in my yarn. And we're going to lay it out nice and flat, and I'm going to adjust my screen so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to lay it out nice and flat, like so. And everyone should have gotten different colors, but they should all roughly be the same length, about 12 inches or so. Or if it's a little less, like if you got a 10-inch one, that's going to be fine, because we will be cutting this to size later. So that's just to make it a nice length to work with. So we have that nice and neat and organized now. So now we are going to take these and we're going to put it here in the center. And we're going to tie a nice knot again over. We want that nice and nestled up here at the top, as even as possible. We're going to tie that nice and tight. You may need to, there we go. You may need a double knot. And just a note, you are going to want to adjust it so that that knot is on the bottom, so it's on the inside of your tassel. Otherwise, your tassel is going to have kind of an odd shape. So you can just kind of adjust as you go. So Here we go. Here we go. There we go. We got that pretty nice and secure. Okay. Go ahead and take a moment, and if you want to do any additional knots, you can. If not, we are ready to proceed to the next step. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a moment to catch up. Welcome back. You'll see I am still keeping the camera down because at this point, you're going to want to be able to see and follow along with what I'm doing. So next, you're going to take your embroidery floss, and this is where you're going to start making that tassel. And so we're going to find where we want roughly our embroidery floss to sit to make the head of the tassel. And you're going to want to have a bit of a tail, about 2 or 3 inches, because you're going to be tying a knot at some point. So here we go. Let's tie that nice and tight. And I recommend roughly an inch or less for the head of the tassel. It just makes it look nice and neat. If you want a bigger head, that's fine. If you actually stopped and decided you didn't want a tassel, that's also fine. And then after you've started that, let's keep our tail here because we want to keep that for when we finish our tassel. We're just going to start wrapping the length of our embroidery floss around just to give that nice finished look for our tassel. And you want to check as you wrap, pardon me. I had pulled that out of the screen to see where the purple was, but you want to check as you wrap to make sure there's no gaps. So that way it has that nice look. It doesn't look incomplete. And then when you reach a stopping point, we're going to tie it off again. That's why we had that tail, remember? Nice and tight. And then we're going to take our scissors. I'm going to go ahead and trim the excess. There we go. So you should be left with something like this. Our next step is to take our scissors, and we're just going to trim to the length that we want. And that does include the original macrame string that was kind of used for the beading part. Let's go ahead and take our scissors, and I'll show you where I'm cutting. And again, you're going to want to just pick a place where you want your tassel to end. So you have from here all the way pretty much up to here. I want a nice, like, reasonable sized tassel, so I'm going to trim mine pretty high up. So we're just going to take all of that string and just cut. Pull that aside. We have a nice, neat looking tassel for our keychain. Those macrame strings, if you're wanting them to show less, just find them in there and just trim them. Don't cut them totally off because it helps keep that knot secured that's inside the tassel. But that way it shows a bit less. Here we go. So we finished that. And we now have a tasseled keychain. And this can be attached to whatever you want it to be. Thank you for joining us today. If you're looking for more crafts to do, if you missed out on one, you can always check out our other videos on PPLD TV on YouTube, where they will talk about what materials you need for that program. You can also keep an eye out on our website for any information about upcoming programs. Our website again is ppld.org. And of course, please check out our social media. That's also a place where we post updates about upcoming programs, events, and general fun information. So thank you for joining us again, and I hope you have a great day. And I hope you put one of these keychains to good use.